Hey everybody! Oh my God, we're on Be Live. Finally, I've been watching this done by so many other entrepreneurs and people in their groups, and finally I'm testing it. And thank you so much to my gorgeous author Sally Lakshmi Thurley, who has decided to help me test all of this. And she is the she monk. I love it. Sally, show them your book. Come on, we want to see your book. There you go. What's the subtitle? I don't remember it off the top of my head. What's the tagline to it?
Our daily life is a new spiritual practice.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. And I love that. What's that?
We worked that out in the book unpack.
Yes, we did. But you know, I've helped 170 people, so I can't remember all their taglines. I'm pretty good at remembering their actual book titles, but taglines are difficult. So I don't know actually where, as we're testing this, you guys, we're not sure what is going to happen or where comments come up. But what I'll do first of all, just to test something, is I will post Sally's website where this book is available, because I'm sure some of you will be interested in that. So I've just kind of sent that off, and hopefully we will see that comments are coming up from people. You know, we can see one person's potentially watching. I don't know how this is working, but let's talk, Sally. And then once we get off, we can go back and see if this actually broadcasted, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you maybe do your 60-second as to who you are, right?
I'll do my she monk 60-second. So
yeah.
I'm a little bit different to everyone else. I started life kind of backwards or back the front. So most people get involved in the world and they get their job and they have their partner and they do whatever they do. And then at some point they go, oh, hang on, there's something more. And they realize there's yearning on the inside and they want to know about the universe and they start exploring their spiritual side. But I was kind of back the front. By the age of, I had an awakening at 11, which was a spontaneous, strange thing. And then by 16, I'd already decided that the world wasn't for me. I had the calling to go into my inner world. But I hadn't found a teacher by that stage until I got to 25. And I went to learn to meditate. I actually had a doctor who said, girlfriend, if you don't meditate, you know, your stress is going to go through the roof. And I was in an unhappy marriage and I had bad health problems. So I went to meditate, and it turned out to be an enlightened teacher, and it was an ashram. And when I heard it, I was just like a duck to water. I was home. So I spent 20 years studying there. And then towards the end of that, I started to realize that whilst I had attained what I went there for, it wasn't translating all that well into the world. So I started to work out what was going wrong, and my world was falling apart. I actually went through a great... it was like a domino effect of loss. And essentially what it was is I had a calling and I wasn't listening to it as well as I should. So I became, in that moment, a witness. So as my life is falling apart, what is it after all these years and decades of practice that actually will work in the world? What is the essence of spiritual practice? And then I was also doing personal development, and I was realizing that personal development can miss a lot of heart and soul. So I found the merging point and came up with my own method called the Spunda method, which I use a mandala for, and I wrote my book.
Yay, she monk.
Yeah. So my thing is, like, we can be like Dalai Lamas and live in the world. You actually can do it. You can be a householder but have that deep spirituality of a monk. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. And yes, last night I had the pleasure of speaking at Sally's Enlightenment for Entrepreneurs meetup at our place in Camberwell, and actually got to hear and learn a little bit deeper about more of her stuff. And you said, it's not about being fluffy or, just all zen, like, dress in that one color that the monks dress in and give up lots of things. That's how I understood it, that you can have,
Yeah, that's true, Nat. So what we don't realise, but what we're confronted with spirituality is a choice. We kind of think that the only way to be that deeply spiritual is actually to walk off to the Himalayas or join an ashram, do the kind of stuff I did. But there's actually another way, and it's called the path of the householder, which I talked about last night, where instead of renouncing and giving everything up to that inner stillness, you actually allow the rise of consciousness to come through you and become you. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about it in the sense of entrepreneurship, because I definitely think I've become more of a spiritually inclined person since my own awakening, I guess, if you like. I kind of started to get that through the coaching school that I went to and all that sort of stuff. So why do you think it's so important? I know what I think, but let me ask you why you think entrepreneurs need a bit of that spirituality and enlightenment.
Well, I think that the level of work they're doing on themselves to confront their fears, their worries, their doubts is actually the same as what I had to go through to work on the path of self-realization. The closer you get to God, the harder it becomes. So you have to have determination, and you have to have this perseverance and this doubt-free, single-pointed state. And becoming an entrepreneur, I kind of noticed it's actually exactly the same. And the other thing that I love is I think we're in the age of the entrepreneur, and a lot of people are talking about calling and purpose, and we have this desire to make the world a better place. So I think just in that spark of entrepreneurship, we're actually getting that light of spirit. And I think it's a soul journey for many people.
I love it. Now I'll say it in my own words, right? I love that we can say this in two different ways, that you give it such a spiritual flavor and you make it so divine and graceful, as you love to use the word grace, I know. But what I believe as well is, just the shifts in energy and how you vibrate when you're feeling good versus when you're not feeling good, and what you attract and what you repel, and when things are like on fire, you just can't do anything wrong, and how you can recognize, I think, and have that awareness to change things on that level if things are not working for you. And very much as an employee, a lot of the time it's been said, you don't need faith, right? But as an entrepreneur, you do. It's like, where is my next client going to come from? Sometimes it really dries up and you're kind of going, no one's never going to find out about me. It's like, that's it. Like, how else am I going to, and you start to doubt yourself and have these fears, which is actually a bad vibration to be at, because that's exactly what's going to happen. But if you have the thoughts of, good things are coming. I mean, I was just, before, when I was having my hair done, I was doing this keratin treatment for 3.5 hours and had a lot of time to think and, if you like, meditate on the spot. And I was just starting to visualize and say different affirmations in my head about how it was going to be over there. And because I do have a lot of fears coming up in me, going, oh my God, are enough people going to book? And, what's going to happen? What if people don't show up? That whole fear, no one's going to show up. And I go, hang on. You can't go there, right? You can't go there. You got to do the total opposite and say things as you want them, as you desire them. Am I right in what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Faith is all you can fall back on at the end of the day, because you need something that's bigger than you. And that's what I love about purpose. You need, so you're mentioning a lot also, there's so much personal development. And then you get to a point, you fall back into what I would call an asana, or a divine seat, where you know that you're being held and nurtured by the universe. And without that, you'd go kind of crazy. And one of the things I see a lot in entrepreneurs and people, like you and I, that are just, it's in our nature to be like that, is we don't recognize that this is a divine calling. We get into the push and we start to burn out, which we can all fall into. I did this week. And yet there is a way where we can realize that we're working without working. We're doing without doing, because we aren't the doer. So you can actually pull back and anchor yourself, my tagline is, anchor yourself in grace. And then you can allow that to propel you forward. And it doesn't mean that you're not working. You're still doing great work. But it's without the muzzle and the will and all that kind of stuff.
I love it. Yeah, it does, totally. So tell me a little bit about the things. So let's go into the books kind of stuff, because obviously the book is the skeleton or the teachings behind everything that you do. I want to know a little bit more, because often in this particular group, also your way to riches, right? So a lot of the time, and I come from the belief that, to make shitloads of money from just book sales would require a lot of hustling, a lot of effort, and for not a lot of reward. And I often say the money is not in the books. The money is in the leverage that you create with the book, the opportunities, the foot in the door that you get into places, and how you get noticed and preferred by other people to be their speaker or be in the media and all that kind of stuff. So what are the kind of things, I mean, I know your book's been only literally out, a couple of months, not even that. And Sally, from word go, from the time I prepped her to the time she was holding it in her book, hands were 5 months through the 48-hour author retreat. But she'll talk about that a bit later. But what I'm more interested in knowing, now the book's been out 4 to 8 weeks, thereabouts. What are the kind of things that you are using it for and have created as, the leverage, and will you create riches from it?
It was the turning point for everything. Because it ties everything into place. So even though I've launched online events, which I run under the banner of Enlightenment for Entrepreneurs, it actually is all to try and bring people back into how to heal your life, how to be grace in any situation, how to merge your worlds together to that one path of self-realization. Yes. So the book, the way that was clever about working with you is that it was always a future orientation. So it was like, okay, well, what really do I want to say in the book? Well, I want it to be able to help and heal people. I want to make a course from it. I want it to be that everything in here, you're right, is absolutely everything that I teach. So even my half-day workshop, I really only unpack a couple of chapters in my book. And so it actually has become everything I'm aiming towards. And at the end of the year, I'm launching She-Monk in a really big way. I just wanted to kind of get a foundation ready to do that. So the book came, and the ideas came from the book, then the offline events, and then I'm going to really go hard with the She-Monk thing, because I want everyone to be a rock star Dalai Lama in the world.
I love it. And especially entrepreneurs who are the people that you're looking to help the most, because they've been brave enough to take that leap of faith to back themselves and make that big difference for other people, and it's scary. And they, I think they need you the most. Yeah.
I love them. Self-starting, determined.
I know that you've got a retreat coming up in June. I think 18th of June, you said to me, and it's a 5-day retreat, right? 5 days. Like I do 48-hour author retreats, and they're full on, pretty intense, as you would know. But what happens in your 5-day retreat? Like, what would someone walk away from having done that? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Total change. Totally different person. I mean, a lot of people go to meditation retreats to sit and meditate, to feel better, and a couple of days later go back into the world. I see that as a Band-Aid. And I think that to really get a handle on what is your spiritual nature. So I give everyone, we have a session before the retreat. I do a session to find out what their spiritual nature is, what spiritual practice will work best with them. So they've got that fit that you need, that only comes when you work with a mentor or a spiritual teacher. And what happens is a lot of stuff comes up. So I always say, day 1 you're elated, day 2 you're curious, day 3 you're actually like, what's going on? Day 4 you're pulling yourself out, and day 5 you're like you're a transformed person. So with me, I mean, if my whole thing is self-realization, I've done all this study, I've done the years of study. Something that happened in my journey was I was able to get that terribly esoteric academic teaching that I was brought up with. And in the practical application of my life, I worked out how to turn it into a very easy to understand roadmap home. So there's one thing to do spiritual practice, but there's another to actually do it with what it's intended for. We're here to realize who we are, and we're here to go home. And every time we feel disconnected from ourselves, we disconnect with everything else around us, and we start to feel anxious, sad, depressed, fearful, worry, or we get willful and pushy. So I give it all. I give them a funder model that I created too.
Would you say these 5 days are a shortcut and a fast track to what you have obviously done for the last, 20 years or more?
Oh, well, I've done a lifetime of work, but 20 years studying this mystical path.
Well, you're super young, right? So it's been only 20 years.
Oh, that's right. Seriously, it really is the ultimate. There's no such thing as a silver bullet, but if you're going to do that level of work, you may as well know where the hell you're going. And stop
our entrepreneurs don't have a lot of time to waste. They need a result yesterday.
No, That's right. Neither do I. I literally got to the point of, okay, stuff this. Just tell me. And I had to work out an experiment with each and everything, and I was taking notes. So I let my life become an experiment of what works, what doesn't work, and I think that one thing I teach in my workshop is stop window shopping. Stop with the millions of books beside the bed, and stop with this and trying this person and trying that person. As soon as you come across truth, as soon as you feel your heart expand, as soon as you're nervous as hell, that's a good sign. Stay there, do it, and go the whole way with it.
Yeah, one of my other authors, Rachel, said this the perfect way, and I actually I've repeated it many times since. Sick means go. If it's making you feel sick and you're uneasy, means you should go there. It'll expand your comfort zone.
That's right. I love it. As you know, I always say spirituality is not fluffy.
Yeah.
It's hardcore, and it's an unraveling of who you are. So it's a peeling back. It's not acquiring anything. You're actually peeling something.
I love it. So when is the next half day event coming up? It's called, what was it called? Ultimate Journey?
The ultimate enlightenment for entrepreneurs, ultimate journey, and that's on the 16th of May.
16th of May, and then retreat 18th of June, and all that sort of stuff. So, I've posted up your website. People will know exactly how to find you, and they can look up your profile and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk a little bit now about your journey through Ultimate 48-Hour Author. Last night, because we caught up and we had an all-you-can-eat Japanese. That was so yummy. We're starving. Tell me, you said to me briefly over dinner, so Nat, I'm pretty much ready to do my, another book and all that sort of stuff. What is it? Why did you choose to come and join our program over any other? Because there's heaps of people that do similar things to what we do, even though I believe and I trust always within myself that no one can do Natasha Denman style, my DNA, the way I do it, my personality. And that's how I'm brave enough to go to the US, because I go, there's no Natasha Denman over there. So I'm going to bring something unique and special. And I don't need to look at the competition. I just need to own what it is. Hey, Candina's just on there. Hello, ladies. Happy to be here. I believe this is a test software you were speaking of. Yes, I am. Candina, can you actually type up, can you see us both? Because we're actually doing this from a Chrome, not within Facebook, and we're on a desktop. And we don't know, I'm going to see the aftermath of what's happening after, but of course I'm interviewing Sally here about her book and her stuff and retreats and all that. And we're going to do probably another 10 or so minutes just discussing a little bit. But tell us, what does it look like? I'm so curious, because this works well. We're going to do a heap more of these in the group to add value. But let me just summarize, Sally, if I can, for the guys. So Sally wrote this book, She Monk. Hey, you can see us both fine. Kerry Upham from last night, she's there. Look, everyone from last night, we're back together again, right? Can you show them the book? So Sally wrote this particular book, She Monk, right? And I posted a link. So what Sally's done is she's not, obviously her intention is to make a big difference through her book, but also she's leveraging it through running some meetup groups, which is where I spoke last night. She's running a half-day event where she shares a bit more of her system and shortcuts that she's learned over a lifetime of spiritual practice. And then obviously runs a retreat, which is a 5-day intensive. Like, you walk away enlightened, right? You have the experience, right? You understand yourself a lot better, and as you said, you learn how to arrive home, or what was the saying? Sorry,
you get the roadmap home.
You get the roadmap home, right? Perfect. And now we were going to move on to understanding why the hell did she choose Ultimate 48-Hour Author. And I just briefly said that we are unique because there's no one else and so should everyone on this call, everyone who's listening. I know you guys are wannabe authors, or thinking about it, whatever it is. I know that sometimes we may think, there's so many other spiritual books that have been written, or there's so many personal development books, or how am I different? And I always teach that you're different because no one's got your DNA, no one's got your flavor, no one's got your personality. And when that people come to work with you, they buy you, okay? And the books that you write are the books intended for the past version of you, because Sally, I bet you all the information you've shortcutted and learned over a lifetime would have been an awesome resource for the Sally when she was starting this journey, right? Yeah. All the answers. And that's the same thing with me. Like when I wrote Ultimate 48 Author, I would have loved that when I was writing my first book because it took me 10 times longer. So that's where we got to, guys, with this interview, because now I want to understand, well, what's the thinking? You know, why does someone choose to do go with us over other people and all that stuff? So what would you say, Sal?
Oh, wow. You know, because you're right. I was looking for a couple of years. I had a lot of people approach me because I was a chef in a very unique situation. I was a head chef at an ashram and initiated into spiritual cooking, which is a very rare thing. And a lot of people wanted me to write a book, but I felt something coming through and I just wasn't happy. People were just selling me packages and packages and I couldn't see past the package. And then I came across 48-Hour Author. Now, my nature is I want it done. I want it done now. Yeah. Tell me what to bloody do and I'll fill in the gaps. And so, you know, I met you and you've got that matched personality for me. And I knew from spending 2 years already writing a chapter here, writing thoughts there, I knew as soon as doing the workshop when I saw you doing a book unpack, it was like, oh my God, it's just going to get done. And not only that, it's like I've always said that you're like a conveyor belt. Like you go, okay, here you start, and then we've got to do this. You've got 10 hours of work, then you've got this, and then you've got the retreat, and then you've got that. It's all itemized. So I could meet the schedule. Now, I also did double the amount of words and had no idea. You can tell I talk a lot. So it was 40,000 words. I did 80, and I still kept up. I kept up at the exact same speed as everyone else.
Actually, you know what? Now that you say that, I think last time when we were talking about you finishing it in the 5 months, I don't think anyone's finished an 80,000 word book in that period of time. People have finished like 30, 40,000 word books. So I think you can have the record there. All right? Yeah, love it. So you found the time that I specified in terms of this is what's going to happen was true to what happened?
Yep, I just knew that you had a no-fail system, that if I trusted it, and that's one thing you're always very clear on, and it's same with my retreat, we can give you what we know will work, but it's up to you to do the work. And exactly. The other thing is that you always have the focus of what comes after the book is actually not about the book. Yeah. And I wanted that because I knew I want my whole life to be around this. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want the thing they love the most that they're going to write about and invest in themselves? Not be what their life is about. So you deliver, girlfriend.
Yeah. I love it. That's awesome because sometimes, you know what I think, I go, when I give people, I know how much this will take you, this will take you, and this is the homework for all that sort of stuff. And it doesn't take over your life, which is I always say to people, I don't want it to take over your life. I want you to continue building your business and, you know, do a lot of the marketing, spend more time there than on the book project. You know, I sometimes kind of go, am I just telling them that because that's how long it would take me? Because I've done this a few times before, but I know the authors are reporting back. That's exactly someone who's a little bit more detailed might take a little bit longer in the prep time over, say, the 10 hours that I say. But it's good to hear even from someone who did a double-sized book because, guys, usually the standard books, for those of you that are watching, are 40,000 words, right? Sally's was double, so that's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, and what was the best bit? Tell me the best bit. What did you love the most that made your life easier? Or is it the fact that it was like there's so much, I guess, do this here, do this now, and, you know, and you just get given every step of the journey.
I love it. I don't want to get into a muddle. I just want to get it done. But I think I also want to mention that the way you structure the book and you structure the chapters is what creates the potential further down the line. I've seen a lot of other entrepreneur books that have not decided to go with something so cleverly structured. And actually I look at the books and go, but the chapters are getting nowhere, you know, and this isn't leading to, and you've missed the opportunity to turn this into something very viable as a business. So just even the way the chapters are constructed makes it really easy to create a workshop later on or a course or
program.
Something.
And for those people who are watching, because I know there's a few people that want to write their life stories, please don't discount yourself from this particular program because I would say 80% of the people are like people like Sally who want to build a business behind it, but 20% of the people who help are their life stories. And they share chronological order of what happened and learnings and lessons and all that kind of stuff, which works really well with the system. We definitely don't do fiction or children's. That's just not our cup of tea. But for those people who want to have a healing journey and go through it in that regard, it works like magic too.
Good imagine.
So, Sally, I'm going to run out of battery on my computer because I'm obviously in a shopping center, you guys. I couldn't get home to jump on this interview at home. And my computer says, you're at 5% and it's screaming, it's screaming, plug me in, but I didn't bring a power cord or anything. So I'm just hotspotting my phone and everything. So what I'm going to do is we'll just let people know, connect with Sally, shemunk.com. Is that right? Shemunk.com? Very simple. And I've put the link up there. If you are watching this recording, if you have questions about anything, just post them down. With Ultimate 48-Hour Author, next week we have 2 more spots on the 2nd of May at our home-based event. That's where Sally came, and we give you lunch and all that. And, of course, USA is next. And again, Dina, who's watching right now, I'm going to be connecting with you after this call, as I promised. I do have battery on my phone. But, Sally, thank you for playing with this with me and testing it out because this is the new way of obviously making these interviews so nice and interactive, and people can see and listen and see both parties. So I can't wait to see what it actually looks like on Facebook once we get off. Any parting words, any final words of wisdom you want to share?
Keep your heart open and always look for the grace in every moment of every day.
I love it. And I love you. See you soon. And I'll talk to you guys. Hope you got value from this call. Bye.
Bye.